Good morning, Shane Joseph Taylor on Skiwi Pen Double Dragon is my YouTube channel. My other YouTube channel, of course, Shane Joseph Taylor. Well, here's a question for you, and you can check this with your psychiatric doctors or nurses to confirm. Psychiatric medicine is not an exact science. That is, they don't have an exact means of valuing whether you do have a disorder or not, or whether you may actually just be smart. Using big words can scare these people. Now, with psychiatric medicine not being an exact science, now using my cases the last 16 years where I don't have a mental disorder, they breached privacy, violated the Crimes of Torture Act, which in my country the police are not educated in, which, makes for the great cover-up of he's suffering persecuted delusions. Well, Christmas just been, I spent 2 weeks or so locked in a back area, being manhandled and stripped of my clothes and drugged while being viewed and experimented on, because, of course, not being an exact science, they don't know the results of what their drugs will do if you do not have the disorder. And Dr. Bird, who is in New Zealand, who is now independent from the place of which I was born, well, he can confirm giving psychiatric drugs to somebody may cause the psychotic disorder that they are labelling one with. Well, that is pretty cool, isn't it? Create what they're saying they're curing, and leave somebody on mental health drugs for the rest of their life when they don't have a mental disorder. They're just pissed off at being violated and abused. Now, under the Mental Health Act, within the rights, I don't know how they legislated, but within the first right is the right to be treated with respect. Now, when someone says no, and you proceed anyway, and do it against their will, violently, using force, is that respecting them? No, it's not. Respect of privacy. Now, it's a breach of privacy to use information without checking that it's correct. In 2002, with my beliefs to do with Stonehenge and energy production, which a qualified mechanic had signed non-disclosure and agreed was plausible but would require research and development, which I was already fully aware of. Well, I'd set it up through a law firm, a company, Corbin Foundation Limited now. My name's Shane. So saying, you just got to take H out of the first name. But the origin is Irish and it means gift from God. Now, Corbin is meaning a gift to God. You could call it a balancing act thing. But the reality is, when someone says no, and you do it anyway, and there's not an exact response that you're expecting, and you're just experimenting, well, that's human experimentation for medical reasons. And in this case, my case, to, verify that human research and drugging somebody after violating them should be approved of to make them happy and calm and respect them for violating them. That's utter nonsense. Might work on lower minds or those that are mentally disordered, but somebody that is not mentally disordered, that knows full well they are not mentally disordered, will continue to pursue justice. Now, yes, I want a 700 million claim for my company damages for defamation of character and name and whatnot, but I want a 2.5 million on the basis that somebody got 2.5 million for personal for being in jail for 2 decades when, well, they weren't found innocent. From the way I read it, they were found to be too mentally, or no, it didn't say too mentally disordered, that indicated they were not intellectual enough to be held accountable for their crimes or something along the just do a New Zealand Google of largest compensation for personal. Now, the company aspect, going for a 700 million, the idea behind that is trade me so for 700 million and it's just an auction sign. A good argument stem, because I was using research for free clean energy and whatnot and other things to do with Stonehenge and stuff of my ancestral heritage, which apparently I'm not allowed to have a belief in unless I'm to be labelled and studied and researched. Human experimentation, because somebody has their own religious beliefs to do with God, using English, which is of my ancestral blood. At least by the book, if you know what I mean by that. We're talking to the relevance of numbers 3 and 4 around the Ten Commandments, of course. Funny stuff. Anyway, on a lighter note, in my country, we have something called the Gold Card. Now, that's for citizens that have reached retirement age. The Gold Card, I think, needs an upgrade. At the moment, it only has available for certain times to be used during the day, limited to free bus rides. It has other aspects that are, but I'm specifically focusing on the transport aspect. You can use the bus at certain times throughout the day for free access to the city. Now, I personally think we should strive towards the time that elderly that have reached retirement age should have 24-hour free taxi access, because some of their hips do not quite easily make it to a bus stop you might be aware of. Now, you might think, what? But the other bonus is, have it properly approved of who your children and grandchildren are. And, well, in those tricky situations where they need to call on somebody, they don't have to call on the first person that can afford a taxi or a taxi agent that wants to give a free ride. Instead, they can call on Gramps to come pick them up, and if they're verified, then safety with the family. Also, an idea for supermarkets and other said such shops, but supermarkets first because they're bigger and easier to knock on the door of. Instead of putting charity boxes for specific charities, which I've worked in a charity organisation, Care Foundation, down in Christchurch some time ago, tele-fundraising, quite easy. But I noticed that charities in this country don't fulfil or tell you full aspects of what they are giving you money for. So instead, in supermarkets of having charity boxes for a specific charity, why not have 2 tip boxes? One for the cashier. So if you like the cashier's approach, or if it's your grandchild or niece or nephew or family member, you can queue up to see your family loved one and tip them. Or second box could be for shop, which would be all attendants on floor, all people that serve in the grocery store of said such. So you could tip there or there. You could tip the cashier, or you could tip the entire crew, and the crew could have say in how that money is spent throughout the year. Covering too much? Covering not enough? No, I'm not sure. I'm at church. It's not open. It's Sunday. How historic. How New Zealand. How. Yeah. But on a lighter note, I've been using the analogy that the mental health department has been like the emperor in his new clothes and story of said such, as in the material they've used has no basis in reality. You see, Dr. Lawrence, name dropping there, can verify that there was a breach of privacy in 2002, as in that my beliefs to do with Stonehenge were never checked because they did not respect my beliefs to do with the non-disclosure agreement or said such confidentiality, which was later signed years later by Dr. Lawrence, who, after signing such, respecting my beliefs, his company beliefs, that to do with research and development and, information that could have financial value, to respect a non-disclosure or a confidentiality. Well, after signing this confidentiality, Lawrence, which all the doctors previously before disagreed with without even looking at it, well, no substance to the material because, well, he agrees that after respecting my beliefs, I can bring my beliefs to do with Stonehenge and energy production to the logical argument. Now, from the basis in 2002, I was delusional for looking for backers for an invention which they had never looked at and they assumed it didn't work. Now, I've always used the analogy of the emperor in his new clothes because, no substance to the material they've used in their argument, but it's more like Chicken Little, I think. We'll refer back to my joke about why the chicken crossed the road. But they are little chickens. No, Chicken Little, that's the story. Right, Chicken Little. They're all crying that because I have my own beliefs and whatnot, that, I don't know. What are they crying? What was the story of Chicken Little? The sky is falling. Sky falling. Now, they're doing a Skyfall story. Well, here we go. The sky's not falling. I am not dangerous. Although you could say I'm dangerous to public officials that have violated the Crimes of Torture Act because I seek justice and they might have to go to jail for 14 years or at least try for a half of that for good behaviour. Now, that shouldn't be unfair because in 98 I went to jail for a crime that I wasn't technically guilty of, that being assault with intent. There was no intent to assault the police officer. He was throwing around a minor female. I was a minor, so I twacked him with a bottle once. Not promoting said such. I pleaded with the police. They said I'd get a 2-year suspended and would not have to go to jail if I pleaded guilty without contestation to the alleged assault with intent, which there was no intent. Lesson learned, do not deal with the police. They have no authority to make deals. Police are meant to gather evidence and put it before the judge. It is the judge's decision as to how the punishment comes forth. If police feel, police 10-7, my recent bust, I'm almost out of time. Well, I got arrested 2 Sundays ago, or there, close to, might be 3. It was recorded by Police 10-7. I intend to get a copy of that and put it on this channel and my Shane Joseph Taylor channel because police have the discretion to violate your right to remain silent and your right to talk to a lawyer first before signing anything that is non-procedural. In fact, no, I'm running out of time, I can't go into that. Well, the primary thing is Police 10-7 is a New Zealand show, reality show recording. Police arrests and whatnot, and have a lovely one where rights remain silent, right to talk to a lawyer, invoke those rights, and afterwards they have the right to